Some bonds are not born from love, but from patience, silence, and pain. This is a story of a man who learned to wait, not for something to return, but for a reason to live again. In a small coastal town where the sea never slept, there lived a man named Elias. If you ask the townsfolk about him, they describe him as quiet, distant, and always alone. His eyes held a stillness that mirrored the calm before a storm, a quiet that spoke of a deep, unspoken sorrow. He existed on the fringes of the town's life, a silent silhouette against the backdrop of crashing waves. But Elias wasn't always this way. Years ago, his life was filled with noise and color. He had a family, a wife whose laughter was loud enough to compete with the seagulls, a sound that carried on the ocean breeze and made him feel like the luckiest man alive, and a child, a little boy who would run toward him every evening as his fishing boat neared the shore, his small feet kicking up sand in his excitement. Those were the days when Elias's heart was full, when his home was a haven of warmth against the cold sea air. Then one stormy night, the world tilted on its axis. A tempest, fiercer than any the town had seen in decades, churned the ocean into a furious monster. His wife and son were caught in its wrath, swallowed by the very sea that had provided their livelihood. The waves that had once sung them to sleep became the instruments of their demise. The sea, in its indifferent power, took them both. From that day forward, Elias stopped waiting for happiness. He stopped waiting for his boat to come in with a full catch. He stopped waiting for the sun to warm his face. The world had gone gray, and the vibrant colors of his past were now just faded memories, painful ghosts that haunted his waking hours. Hope was a luxury he could no longer afford. His new ritual was a pilgrimage of grief. Every morning, without fail, he would walk to the shore. He'd sit on the same broken, salt-bleached bench, a silent monument to his loss, and he would stare at the horizon, his gaze fixed on the endless expanse of water. It was as if he was holding the sea accountable, expecting it, demanding it, to return what it had so cruelly stolen from him. But the sea only offered silence, its waves washing ashore with a relentless, unchanging rhythm. One bleak winter morning, after a particularly violent overnight storm had battered the coast, Elias was on his usual walk. The beach was a mess of debris, driftwood, and seaweed. As he scanned the shoreline, something unusual caught his eye near a cluster of jagged rocks. It was a shape, a dark mound against the pale sand, something that didn't belong. He moved closer and saw it clearly. It was a sea turtle, large and ancient-looking, but grievously wounded. Its beautiful, mosaic-like shell was cracked, a deep fissure marring its protective armor. One of its flippers was tangled in a nightmarish web of discarded fishing lines and plastic bags, rendering it almost useless. The creature was fighting for its life. It tried to crawl, to drag its heavy body toward the life-giving water, but it would collapse again and again, its strength failing. People passed by on their morning walks. Some glanced at the struggling animal, a flicker of pity in their eyes before they continued on. Some shook their heads, muttering about the cruelty of fate or pollution, but did nothing. No one stopped. It was just another sad sight in a world full of them. And Elias almost didn't stop either. What could he do? He was a man drowning in his own sea of sorrow. How could he possibly save another creature from its own fate? He was ready to turn away, to retreat back to the numb comfort of his grief. But then, the turtle lifted its head. It was a slow, deliberate movement, full of effort, and its ancient, dark eyes looked directly at him. There was no fear in that gaze, no panic. There was only a profound sense of quiet surrender, an acceptance of its fate that resonated with the emptiness inside Elias's own soul. In that moment, something shifted within him, a long-dormant piece of his heart, frozen by grief, began to tau. He didn't think. He acted. He carefully approached the turtle, his hands surprisingly gentle as he began to work on the tangled mess. Realizing he couldn't free it on the beach, he made a decision. With a strength he didn't know he possessed, he lifted the heavy creature and carried it home. Thus began a new routine, one not of grief, but of care. Day after day, Elias tended to the turtle. He meticulously cleaned its wounds, his fingers, once skilled at mending nets, now tending to a living being. He painstakingly untangled the fishing lines that cut into its flesh. He researched what to feed it, offering small pieces of fish and greens, which the turtle accepted without fuss. He would sit beside it for hours in silence, the only sounds being the ticking of the clock and the quiet hum of the house. The turtle never made a sound. It never showed what we might call gratitude. It didn't nuzzle his hand or look at him with affection. It simply survived. It ate, it rested, and its body slowly began to mend. Its presence was a quiet, constant thing in Elias's empty home. Weeks turned into months. The deep crack in the turtle's shell began to seal, forming a scar, a testament to its ordeal. Its flipper, once mangled and useless, regained its strength. As the turtle healed, something remarkable and unexpected happened. Slowly, so slowly he barely noticed it at first. So did Elias. For the first time in years, he had a reason to wake up in the morning. It wasn't the sun or the tide, it was the turtle. He had a purpose beyond staring at the horizon. He had a reason to care, a living creature that depended on him. He was still waiting, but the nature of his waiting had changed. It was no longer a vigil for the dead, but a watch over the living. The day finally came when the turtle was strong enough to return to the sea. Its wounds had closed. Its movements were fluid and powerful again. Elias felt a strange mix of pride and a familiar ache of impending loss. He carried the turtle back to the same shore where he had found it. The sun was bright, the sea calm, a stark contrast to the stormy day it had washed up. He placed it gently on the sand. The turtle paused for a moment, as if reorienting itself to the world it had left behind. Then it began its slow, determined crawl toward the water. It reached the edge, letting the first small waves wash over it, and then it stopped. It turned its head back, looking toward Elias on the beach. It was just for a second, a single, silent acknowledgement that passed between them, a look that said everything and nothing. Then, with a powerful push, it disappeared into the blue depths of the waves. Elias stayed on his bench for hours that day, watching the spot where the turtle had vanished. But this time, he wasn't waiting for something lost to be returned. He was waiting for something to live. He was watching a life he had helped save go on, and in doing so, he felt a flicker of his own life returning. He didn't get his family back. The ache in his heart for his wife and son would likely never fully disappear. But he learned something profound on that shore. Sometimes, we don't save animals to change their fate. We save them to change our own. From that day on, Elias was a different man. He started volunteering at the shore, rescuing stranded animals, organizing beach cleanups, and teaching local children to respect the sea that he had once hated. He found a new family in the community, a new purpose in protecting the very force that had taken everything from him. He was no longer the quiet, distant man. He was Elias, the man who cared. His story teaches us that healing doesn't always come from being saved. Sometimes, the most powerful healing comes from the act of saving others. Pain can make us close our hearts, building walls to protect ourselves from further hurt. But compassion is the key that can unlock them again, letting the light back in. Now, I want to ask you, have you ever helped someone or something while you were secretly the one who needed healing? Do you believe that animals can save humans emotionally, pulling us from our own depths? If you were Elias on that cold morning, would you have stopped? And what pain are you still waiting to heal from? Thank you for listening. If this story resonated with you, consider subscribing for more tales about the quiet strength of the human spirit.